Well, welcome back, everybody. Apologies for the slight technical issues, which I'm afraid are well above my pay grade to try and understand. We bring you the finish of the race, where Carl Pelvis wins round number 3 of the JCW Mini Cup. You missed nothing for what it's worth. Carl Pelvis, Nicky Taylor, and Tom Churchhouse, who were building that story up that something might happen. In the end, perhaps for the best, nothing did. So Carl Falvers claims the victory. Nicky Taylor comes home in second place, and Tom Churchhouse will be happy, satisfied maybe is a better word, for his third place finishing position. Josh Martin, Thomas Potter, Lee Piercy, Joel Lask, Andy Carroll, Chris Blakey, and Johnny Ogden complete the top 10, because Ogden did, in the end, successfully catch and pass championship frontrunner Brad Smith, who had a nightmare race there, and he's really going to be hoping that he can make something of the reversed grid, where he'll be starting, well, only midfield, but at least 10 places or so ahead of our race 1 winner. Right, it seems a shame to leave you, having only just rejoined, but we do need to take an advert break, so we will do that now, and we'll be able to hear, hopefully, for all 3 of our podium finishers in just a few moments' time. Welcome back, everyone, to the VRRC. Race 1 is in the books here from Silverstone in the Mini JCW Cup. And we have our top 3 drivers here. We're going to continue the new VRRC tradition that was begun by Richard John Neal a week ago. And we're going to start our post-race interviews with our third place finisher, which means that actually we do now finally get an opportunity, we hope, to catch up with Tom Churchhouse, who qualified on pole, ended up finishing in third. Tom, a solid start to the night, an eventful start to the night, actually, because those opening few corners didn't quite go to plan, did they?
Yeah, I remember the turn right and the turn left, but the break, I think I was about 10 meters too late.
I mean, just ask Jack. I mean, he'll tell you that, you know, the turning's one thing. Braking, doing that at the right point, not that easy to do, really. So we can forgive you.
What have I done here?
Sorry, I was hoping you weren't concentrating. Yes, Tom, solid start to the night, though. Good to see you up on the podium. Good to see you on the pace as well. I mean, we've been surprised, not necessarily the right word, but we've been happy to see you looking quicker and quicker with every race that you do. How much practice is going on behind the scenes to make sure that's been the case?
Probably not enough, to be honest. I did maybe half hour today, just before the race. So maybe I need to do a bit more than that. But yeah, the pace was fine. Just hit a bit of grass, which sent me clockwise. So I dropped off a bit.
Yes, we did say that. A very easy mistake to make at that corner, though, in your defence. And I'm not going to say ask Jack, because it's a mistake that I make all the time at that corner as well. So, again, that can be forgiven. Race 2 coming up, though. Reverse grid. Always a lot of action here. We've seen that you've got the raw pace out there. How confident are you that you can sort of get your elbows out now and use some racecraft to move forward?
I'll be honest, judging from turn 3, lap 1, I can definitely get my elbows out, but I'll try and do it a bit nicer this time.
Hey, you're not here to make friends, Tom. You're here to try and win races. So we're watching for some aggression in the early stages. Tom, congratulations on the podium, though. Hopefully, we'll get to speak to you again a bit later on.
Thanks very much.
So, Tom Churchhouse, third place finish. Jack Oliphant now has the opportunity to catch up with Nicky Taylor, who grabs his second podium of the season.
Yes, and well, Nicky Taylor, big congratulations on second place. It looked like it was an opportunity for a first place at one point. What happened? Because the cameras were away from us when you slipped back down to second.
Yeah, me and Kyle just were working together throughout pretty much most of the race. Like we obviously Kyle got the little nudge from Tom at the start, which then put him wide, and then he managed to then come on in front of come on like alongside me going into the right hander before the massive straight. So yeah, we were side by side for a bit of that, and then once we calmed down with that, we literally just pushed away together. So I kind of had a bit of pace at the start. So Kyle thought it just let me through a little bit, so I went through, and then I screwed up my laps, so I let Kyle back through because it was the decent thing to do, and because I was screwing myself over. So yeah, we were just working together, and it seemed to work, and we seemed to fill a gap.
Did you have a look in your rear view mirrors when the gap came down to under a second when Tom Churchhouse was hunting?
I did a bit, but I was just kind of putting it down to weight at the end of the day. I was like, I know Tom's only on 5 kg, I'm on 30, so the weight does, I think, play into the tyres a bit, and also I forgot to lower my pressure on my front left, so we'll definitely be doing that because my front left was cooked with about 10 minutes left. But yeah, I saw it was gaining, but I was just trying to focusing on Kyle and seeing what Kyle was doing and just follow with him.
Before we hear Carl's perspective, when it came to the last 5 minutes, was that working together agreement out of the window? Was there an opportunity where you two were ever going to fight each other, or was that not really on the cards?
I think if I had been a bit closer, like if I had been within striking distance, I think through the last 2 minutes we would have just gone fair game because I think that's how we'd operate. But yeah, I wasn't gonna take him out. No stretch of the imagination. I wasn't gonna make any stupid moves on him. So yeah, I'm happy with P2 and me and him work well together. So I think we can go for 1-2 again in a reverse grid would be brilliant.
Well, Nicky, it's a big congratulations on second place. Before you go, quick quiz question. How many races has Andy McEwen ever won around Silverstone?
Quite a few, I'll have you know.
In real life, nil. That's what I thought. Back to you, Andy.
Oh, it is game on. Right then. Well done, Nicky. Congratulations on the podium. Right then, we're going to move very swiftly on to our race winner, Kyle Felvers. Kyle, welcome back. Good to have you back on the podium. Didn't get the chance to speak to you last week. It didn't feel like a VRRC broadcast without getting to interview you at least once. Believe you were a little bit under the weather. So first of all, hope you're feeling better. And if you weren't, I'm sure that race winner's perked you right up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling a bit better this week. I think last week illness struck and yeah, just couldn't race anymore. So to come this week and put a win on race one is great.
And much needed as well from a championship perspective. I'm intrigued about a couple of moments in that race, really. You had the lead early on, you had it briefly into the first quarter. Then, of course, you had the moment with Tom and you lost it. Then you got the lead back again. It looked at one point almost like you let Nicky back through, only to then repass him later on. Was there a bit of sort of cooperation going on there between the two of you, or were you racing for the lead pretty much throughout?
Yeah, definitely. I think Nicky was behind me near the start of the race, and you never know what pace a driver has when they're behind you. So with him being my teammate, I sort of moved over, let him go, and sort of released him, let him see what pace he had, and then eventually I was still on the back of him. So I think Nicky just pulled over again, let me back past, and that's how it stayed for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and of course, able to grab the victory. Really important after missing out on the points a week ago. Are you still sort of seeing yourself as a potential championship contender, though? You've obviously got the pace to be winning races, and the drop scores are there for a reason, aren't they? If you can keep the consistency that we saw in the Porsche Championship going, no reason really why you couldn't still be a contender, right?
Yeah, possibly. I think, it's front-wheel drive car. I don't really like them, so...
No. We're
not having it. I'm not having
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a difficult one. I'm definitely struggling with the car. It's not my favourite thing in the world, but if I put in some effort and actually do a bit more practice than I did, for tonight, might be able to get some consistency and might be able to get some good points, so...
Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll leave you to it, Carl. Great to have a chance to chat with you again, and we'll hopefully get to speak to you again later on. Best of luck for race 2 then.
Cheers, Andy.
Right then. So Carl Felvers, I mean, he'll have to stop with that line at some point when he wins a front wheel drive championship. I think that's the time officially that we'll have to move him on from that, and who knows, that could still be the case in about 6 or 7 weeks' time. Right then, that is our first race done with. And Jack, it was a pretty exciting one, really, wasn't it? That and Kyle Felvers. What do you think, then? I'm going to pose you the same question I just asked him. Do you think that he is potentially still going to be our champion in a month and a half's time?
Oh, that is very difficult, isn't it? Having been only 3 races into the championship, it's 16 as well. Like, it's going to be difficult, that one. He has it in him. I do believe Kyle has it in him to go back to back. And although he obviously says the line over and over again, and he has done for the last 3 years, he's raced with us, or however long it's been. I personally think he could win this one. The likes of Joel Lask, hard to beat. I mean, he is quick. He doesn't look it particularly here at Silverstone, but over the course of the season, he's always there and thereabouts. And remember, if it comes down to it on the final couple of races, we know how Joel Lask and Carl Felvers like to race each other. So that one could be a little bit of a talking point as well. I would say that Brad Smith is slightly underwhelming here at Silverstone, but again, quite a quick driver. If he puts the time and the practice in for the next couple of rounds, I think that's the key issue, is who's got the time to put the practice in when we go to Mallory Park and we go to Cadwell and we go to all these places that we don't normally go to. I mean, even Silverstone International, a track that isn't overly difficult to pick up, people are struggling to really bridge that gap. That's going to be even bigger when it comes to Mallory and the rest of them.
Yes, no, it'll be quite difficult to do practice for Mallory Park, and fairly pointless, I think, because I don't see it on the calendar.
Oh, is it not?
I kind of wish it was now, though. I think that's a great idea. I'm going to lobby for that for a future championship. Castle Combe, perhaps, I think is what you were thinking of, which is where we're heading in a week's time, and that's going to be
it's Anglesey, actually.
famously close to Mallory Park.
I knew it was some rogue tracks that we hadn't been to before. Yeah, all right, leave me out. I'm tired.
That's quite all right. I do want to, very quickly, before we dive into this race, pose another question to you. Have you noticed quite a lot of drivers these days, they keep putting this subtle little brag in about how, yeah, I've not really done much practice, to be honest. I downloaded the track a couple of hours ago, just turned up, finished on the podium. However, I always found in my fairly brief stint as a semi-serious sim racer that practice didn't really make a lot of difference for me. Were you a driver who needs sort of plenty of practice time before jumping into a sim race?
Sim racing hard because I never really did it that properly. I tried to do the sim racing during lockdown. I embarrassed myself massively on a big stream that had a couple of thousand people watching. I decided not to do it again and decided to commentate instead. So I have to say, even in real life stuff as well, practicing has never been something I've loved doing. I either get the track or I don't within 10 minutes, to be honest. So when you whittling down the last couple of attempts, maybe, but ultimately it's not something I've ever found.
When you're searching for 5 seconds a lap like we are, I sort of agree with you, really. Right then, let's see what happens in round number 4 of the championship. The red lights are on. We've got John Jones on the front of the grid, and alongside him, Stuart Henderson, who will win the drag race into turn 1. Let's find out then. Away we go. And John Jones in the red and black car on the outside line, I think is going to keep his nose in front, pulls over to the middle of the road to cover, and Henderson sweeps to the outside line, side by side then just behind them, as we hold our breath, not necessarily through the first 2 corners, but into this big braking zone at Village. Let's hope they all get through. They're going 4 wide at the back of the pack. That involves Nicky Taylor, Carl Felvers, Josh Martin. That's got an absolute pile of Britain all over it. Do they all make it through the tight right-handed? You know what? I think they might have done. There was a bit of elbowing going on up front, though, and that has allowed John Jones to make a little bit of a break. Henderson second, third position then for Matt Smith. And would you believe it, Jack? I don't. They've all, I think, made it through the first half of the lap, more or less in one piece.
Yeah, well, that goes to show that sim racing isn't always realistic, is it? Because we never have got all 21 minutes to do that bit of the track. But oh, well, we have, and we should enjoy it all at last. Because it may well be a short-lived enjoyment. As we go through Stone up, down towards the chicane, it looks like there's a few people going a little bit wide, but again, actually not too bad. And I have to say, the front 2 have got a nice little gap to Matt Smith. John Jones, we know, doesn't go down without a fight, and I think Stuart Henderson is about to learn that, because as he looks left, he looks right, he's trying to see if he can make John Jones blink. John Jones doesn't blink. He's constantly on the full offensive or full defensive. He will not move out of your way.
doesn't blink, and I'm not convinced he ever uses the mirrors. I think he just gets the blinkers on, doesn't he? Just stares straight in front of him. Doesn't matter what's going on behind him. John Jones just keeps on driving. And I think that's a great way to be, really. Although, as I say that, he takes a very defensive line into Village. Gotta say, though, and I know I'm going to regret this probably within the next 30 seconds, brilliant driving standards on the opening lap, though. That first sequence of corners, so difficult to get through in one piece when you're all congested like that, and they did manage to do so. So fair play where it is due. Down the hanger straight they go. John Jones weaving around to try and break the toe and keep Stuart Henderson at bay. What progress of the front runners from race one? Well, we've got Carl Felbers up into 10th position. We've got Tom Churchhouse 15th. Nicky Taylor only 17th. So perhaps because there wasn't too much drama going on further back, we haven't seen quite the level of progress that we would normally be used to, really, from our race one podium finishers.
You're absolutely right. I am going to make a petition to Rich right now, though, in the fact that with Nathan Smith and Matt Smith both racing in white, one being 11 and one being 22, there has to be some bigger difference we can pull out of here. Or at least changing the timing tower so we can see N Smith and M Smith. Even that actually would be difficult, wouldn't it? Anyway, Joel Lask has got his way up to 5th place. That's probably the biggest improvement from one of our protagonists, shall we say, for the championship. Obviously, was championship leader going into this evening. May not well be now, obviously, with the first race having been out of the way. But if he can pick up good points around those top 5 positions, he'd be doing well. But it's whether or not he's fast enough to actually catch up to the likes of Henderson and Jones and get into the lead ahead of Smith and Smith, who we both know are very, very hardy racers. In fact, that top 4, apart from Henderson, who's a bit of an unknown source, John Jones, Nathan Smith and Matt Smith, we've already seen even today that they're difficult to get past and they don't go down without a fight. So Joel Lask, unless he's massively quicker, is going to find it difficult.
Yeah, no, he certainly is, and we're seeing that really all round, aren't we? Nicky Taylor only gaining 2 places in the last lap or so, and well, Tom Churchhouse actually, as I say, that gets past Josh Martin. That's quite the scalp to claim, isn't it? Tom Churchhouse up into 11th place. Felbus had just gone past Kenny Press, but no one can get past John Jones at the moment. Henderson actually dropping away a little bit, and they're both gapping the pair of Smiths behind. So looking good so far for John Jones. We did have a drama at the Club Chicane a lap ago for Alec Iyengar. He went off the road into the gravel, so he's dropped down to the tail end of the field. There he is, the purplish car running in 21st and last place. Whilst further up the road, we've got Joel Last battling away, I think, with Matt Smith, that was, for 4th position. He was briefly ahead of Matt, then Matt got him back, and now there's contact, and Lask is sideways. They're both sideways, right in front of Kyle Felbus, who says, thank you very much, guys, I will have 4th place, and didn't really have to work for it one little bit. Lask survives in 5th, but that was drama, and Joel Lask will not be happy because now he's back behind Kyle Felbus, and perhaps a good opportunity to get some points back has gone begging. He wants to try and do something about it, though. Pulls to the outside line into Stowe. This could get exciting, Jack.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks to Oulton Park in the Porsches already, to be honest with you. It's going to get a little bit tasty, and I think Joel Lask is going to be fairly annoyed, as you say. Hopefully the red mist hasn't descended on him. Kenny Press could be the answer to Carl Felbus's headache, though, in terms of Joel Lask, because Kenny Press is right there, and as long as these two start fighting, he's not going to be left without wanting, is Kenny. And 7th place is still Matt Smith. I'm going to put that down. It might be letting him off the hook here a little bit, Andy, if you're probably thinking, but I'm going to put that down to maybe a bit of an experience. But really, he should not have been rejoining at that part of the circuit, should he? He should have cut the corner off, rejoined later, and given up the place.
Yeah, I agree with you. You put in a bit of a box there, really, though, because there's that big curb on the left hand of the inside of the loop. So you sort of think, right, well, I've got to get back on the track before that. But yeah, it is always an option just to cut the corner. Yes, okay, you'll get a track cut, but it's not going to be an improved lap time, you would imagine, because you're going well off the road. So that probably was the more sensible thing to do. But anyway, no major harm, I suppose. Joel Lask still running inside the top 5. Came out of that better than Smith did, that is for sure. Now, speaking of Smith, this is Nathan Smith. He's still hounding John Jones. In fact, he's got past Henderson, hasn't he? So he is now has caught John Jones and is looking to try and get the race lead away. He's going to look to the inside, look back to the outside again, heading down through the Vale, but no way through for the time being. This is proper mini racing though, less than a mini's length between them, and it is John Jones still just about hanging on. Henderson third. I'll be interested though to see whether Carl Felvers can catch this group quickly. At the moment, not really. He's inching towards them. That lap was a 1:13.0, so okay, just over a second quicker than John Jones, but the battling going on up in front is only going to shrink that gap faster.
It is indeed, and Nathan Smith is looking like he's interested in trying to go for a cutback manoeuvre on John Jones, and he might just have it. He launches himself over the sausage curb, which I think Jones had just about managed to hold on. He didn't quite hit the apex, but we've spoken before a little bit there, Andy. You don't always need to hit the apex through Village, do you? Because you can just carry that momentum, and it's such a sharp, quick turn, sort of straight down towards the left-hand side. If you keep some momentum, it doesn't actually matter that much, does it? It's easy to defend, and that's exactly what John Jones is doing, almost just driving in the middle of the circuit right now. So Smith is finding it hard. Henderson is just dropped off a touch as well. But I have to say, I'm still impressed with the front three, because Kyle Felvers has not caught up and has not made easy work of this, and they've been going for about 7 minutes now, these drivers. Here is Brad Smith, and the final Smith in our triage of drivers, against Johnny Oulton and Tom Churchhouse. So Brad Smith, obviously a championship contender, Johnny Oulton new to the championship, Churchhouse new and also quite quick here today with Josh Martin. This is a tasty treat for the eyes.
Oh, bit of contact on the exit there between Churchhouse and Oulton, but they both survive. I have to say, fair play to Brad Smith. He's clearly not got the ultimate pace tonight, but he's still fighting. He was 10th the last time I checked. He's now briefly, at least, up into 7th place. Back to the leaders, though. This is Carl Felvers. He's already got past Stuart Henderson. Now he goes around the outside of Nathan Smith. That's brave. Nathan just about leaves him the space. Felvers has the outside line now, heading down into the link. He's going to turn across the nose of Nathan Smith, who did not have to get out of the way there, in fairness. There was a bit of a touch, and they will still be side by side coming off the corner. Joel Lask hunting around behind as well, is trying to join the party too. So door handle to door handle, down the hanger straight. Nathan Smith on the left, Carl Felvers on the right, and Carl is going to be faced with the rather an enviable task of trying to go right round the outside at Stowe Corner. Is that going to pay off? No, it's not. Nathan Smith, as he's well entitled to do so, is getting his elbows out. He's making that a very wide mini JCW, and actually this is backing Felvers back into Henderson and Lask behind him.
Yeah, I have to say, was that a bit of a cut? My street went a little bit laggy there, but Nathan Smith still in 4th place. It did sound like a bit of a cut. We had Sam Henderson, Joel Lask, all lining up to try and overtake Carl Felvers, and ultimately Nathan Smith. Smith goes defensive on Abbey. Here goes Felvers yet again, trying to go for the outside. No, is he going to go for that cutback? He just wants some clean momentum. That's all he needs to get up the inside of Village. He's going to have an opportunity here. No, he's too far back, Andy. That's a massive lunge if he goes for it, which he's just about thinking about as Nathan Smith goes wide. Momentum may well be carried. There's still door bagging. There's side on side. But this time, Felvers is going to have the insides. They go onto the back straight.
And he boxes Nathan Smith out really cleverly, gets rid of the opportunity for a switchback manoeuvre. So Felvers into 2nd position. And now we watch for Joel Lask to try and do the same. In fact, Lask still hasn't got past Henderson. They are wheel to wheel, heading down the hanger straight. And Nathan Smith is coming back at Felvers. He's had the slipstream. He's got the inside line. And I'm sure he's going to try and outbrake our reigning VRRC champion. It doesn't quite work. And so Felvers stays in 2nd place. Terrific battling this though, as they drop down the hill. Henderson arrives from the right hand side of shot from a long way off the road, and that has allowed Joel Lask to come through. Kenny Press is catching them now, and let's not forget this is all going on 1.1 seconds behind our race leader John Jones, who has now led the first 10 minutes of this race. Granted, Felvers, now he's cleared Nathan Smith, should be able to bridge that gap, but this has been another fine drive from John Jones.
I have to say, I'm glad you didn't ask me to predict what's going to happen in this race like you sometimes do, Andy, because I would have got it horrendously wrong. Like, so badly wrong it would have been untrue. But I'm enjoying every bit of this, because it's been really good driving by John Jones. Hasn't been undeserved this race lead or anything. Felvers has had to work really hard to get back through. Obviously took a little bit of advantage of Lask versus Smith, but that's okay. That's part of racing through the pack. Then he's had to fight hard against Nathan Smith, of course. And I have to say, there was a little bit of contact from both drivers initiating it. Nothing unfair, in my opinion. with Felvers going around the outside onto the back straight, he was always knew there was going to be a bit of a touch. That's just how it is in racing. And front wheel drive, you can get away with it just by planting the power. So that was all fair. And then he went for the opposite sort of move to try and get into second place, and it worked out for him. So really good, clean, high-level racing, in my opinion. And John Jones may well have more of a headache on his hands now for the next 13 minutes. But at the moment, he has driven very, very well.
Of all the people, Kyle Felvers wishes he wasn't chasing down for the race lead. John Jones is probably quite high up that list, really, along with maybe Joel Lask, but he's got a car between himself and Joel, and he has now caught John Jones, who I'm sure is not going to be waving the white flag anytime soon. Goes very defensive into Village. He's probably outbraked himself, though. Yes, he has. And actually, after all that build-up, it's made very easy for Kyle Felvers, who does move into the lead of the race. Now, can Nathan Smith follow him through? He's looking to the inside, does more than look. Absolutely lunges up the inside of John Jones, just about makes the corner, and just like that, 2 places lost. But the overhead view showing brilliantly how the momentum worked there through the corner. Nathan Smith charged the entry, got the move made, but was much slower off the corner than John Jones, who comes back at him now on the outside line towards Stowe, and they are going to, I think, probably stay in the same positions, but that just forced a defensive move out of Nathan, and that bottles them all together, brings Joel Lask back into play, as Nathan Smith once more has to watch the mirrors, covers the middle ground. Here comes Lask, very late on the brakes, finds a gap. Brilliant move that from Joel Lask. He's into third and immediately sets about trying to take second from Nathan Smith.
Yeah, he was Lask of the late breakers, wasn't he there? It was very impressive indeed. You're welcome. He's now, as you said, right on the back bumper of Nathan Smith. We've seen how hard it is to pass him from Carl Felvers' point of view, from John Jones' point of view. Now Lask is the next and latest member to try and knock him off at least one more step off the podium and knock him down into third place. John Jones, I thought, was going to have a little lunge in the rear-view mirrors then, but he didn't quite have the momentum. Probably thought better of it as Lask goes through onto the back straight. Now, can he hook up the apex? Well, Nathan Smith does, actually, so it's not going to be an opportunity to get him straight off the corner, but if he can get the momentum down into Stowe, we could see a change for second place. A little bit of leaping about here, maybe a connection issue for Joel Lask, because the slipstream not quite working as strongly as we once thought, Andy.
No, it's not really, is it? More's the pity as far as Joel is concerned, but if he could just get this second place, get out of this battle, I think he'll be very happy with that. That car is a heavy car, remember, this week, and if he can still manage to get himself on the podium in race 2, he's going to be pretty satisfied, I think, with that, really. Lots of curb taken there by Nathan Smith, not for the first time tonight, has to be said. Right, Nicky Taylor, remember him? He was on the podium in race 1, but a little bit like Donington Park, he's struggling to make the progress in race 2 that the likes of Carl Felvers has been able to. In fact, even Tom Churchhouse, who's up inside the top 5 now. But Nicky Taylor wanting to try and get past Samfir Radu, who, bear in mind, hadn't turned a wheel around this track until a couple of hours ago. Well, he's fending off one of our expected championship front runners. They almost trade a bit of virtual paint coming off the corner. And here comes Thomas Potter as well. A 3-way fight. Potter almost thinks about going up the inside of the pair of them. Settles in the end for just challenging Zamfir Radu, which he does. Excellent clean racing from the 3 of them. And Nicky Taylor up into 9th place.
Yeah, it was a good move, wasn't it? And Potter sliding his way on through to try and take advantages. It's rather good instinctive racing as everybody seems to be following themselves off. That was Josh Martin who also followed them off the road in trying to use as much track as humanly possible. I'm not sure if it entirely was quicker. Here comes Potter, though, on Nicky Taylor. Nicky Taylor, after getting past Radu, is now going to see himself fall back down to 10th position. If only for a moment, though, as Potter goes a little bit too late, and unfortunately he's had to settle back down. He's still inside the top 10. Nicky Taylor showing experience. Potter late on the break, going into the club chicane. He gets it stopped, and I think he's going to have the right-hand side as well. That's an unbelievable move. If he can hold on to it through the final corner, he's going to.
That was outrageous. Fantastic stuff from Thomas Potter. He's just put the moves on Nicky Taylor, and that was one of the best moves of the night. So Thomas Potter up into 9th position, then Taylor won't like that, and he's going to try and get the place back, I am sure. This is, with the greatest of respect, not the group of drivers that Nicky Taylor wanted to be racing with in this one. And the frustration perhaps starting to show. What a lunge from Nicky. I think Potter was perhaps a bit too early on the brakes. Taylor almost forced into the move, and he manages to go through, but then has to defend, dropping down into the link. And Thomas Potter tries to tough it out around the outside line. That was never likely to work. And so in the end, he settles back in line again. But Thomas Potter, 12 years of age and a real star of the future. danger based on what we're seeing here. I know he's only in 10th position, but he had a really strong run in race 1, and he certainly does not lack in commitment. Again, peaks to the inside up at Stowe Corner. What I like, Jack, is he's not going for silly moves. He's making measured moves. If he thinks the move is on, he'll go for it. But times like then into Stowe Corner, he looked to the inside, applied the pressure, but didn't do anything silly. That is seriously impressive.
Yeah, they're not silly, but he is going for every move, isn't he? If he looks at it and he thinks that's on, he will go for it regardless of what the situation is. If it's, you know, not obviously, as we said, not silly though, which is very, very impressive. He's being very efficient, very determined right now, which is a sign of a driver who's got good race instincts, and obviously he's got some pace to back it up, which will only get better and better. Here is Joel Lask. He's got past Nathan Smith. He's into second place. He's got a big old gap though to find. He has to work between himself and Carl Felvis. We talked before, Carl Felvis has to worry about anything. I think Lask versus Smith is probably going to be the podium. John Jones still in 4th place, but now is Churchhouse breathing down his neck. Could we see Churchhouse with a double podium before the evening's end? We've got 8 minutes to see it, and if Lask versus Jones keeps on going, no, it's Lask versus Smith, isn't it? My apologies. Keeps on going, then it'll end up holding each other up. You never know, Churchhouse could be in with a sniff.
Well, yeah, because having got past Nathan Smith, Joel Lask can't get away, can he? I'm really impressed with Nathan Smith tonight. Had a solid first race and certainly a spectacular first race. But Joel Lask, who is heavy at the moment, 45 kilos on board his car, is struggling to get away from him here. Yes, the ballast is a factor, but that's the point of the ballast, isn't it? It's supposed to level the playing field, and it certainly is. It's giving drivers like Joel Lask, like Nathan Smith, like even John Jones, really, an opportunity to shine, give them some track position, and they're more than capable of mixing it at the front. Right, here comes the battle I really want to watch. This is the one for 9th place. Nicky Taylor versus Thomas Potter. Taylor got back through, as we saw a lap or so ago, but he cannot shake the youngster, and Thomas Potter, in fact, again, hunting around on the inside line. Taylor didn't dare turn in, and so they're side by side coming off the corner.
Yeah, he sent some real speed through there, almost drifting the back end, but
No!
that helped him get the rotation, and he's up the inside of Nicky Taylor. This could be a drag race down to Stowe. Tell you what, this is absolutely stunning, isn't it? I'm enjoying this thoroughly, and there's even a battle behind that we haven't really been able to keep an eye out on. Piercy, Ogden, Carroll as well. As we go down towards Stowe, they're still swerving in the background. Not entirely sure who it is, because we're focusing on 38 versus 17. Potter and Taylor. Taylor obviously previously a race winner here at VRRC, and I think he's just about got the outside line done and dusted.
Yeah, but now Josh Martin's starting to buy into all of this as well. This was already an exciting battle. It's about to hit fever pitch with 6.5 minutes to go. Whoa! Potter right up on 2 wheels over the sausage curb. That slows him down. It allows Josh Martin up the inside line, and Josh should be afforded the room on the apex. Well, he makes the room on the apex, and will, I think, gain the place. Bit of a shame that for Potter. You don't want to be riding that sausage curb that hard through the club chicane. It does lose you forward momentum, so he loses a place for now, but I somehow don't think that's the last time we'll be mentioning his name in this race. 6 more minutes, and he's already trying to find a way back ahead of the green number 89 machine. In fact, he's got his nose back ahead on the outside line, but Josh Martin comes off the corner just about in front. Fascinating stuff, this brilliant battle. It's refreshing, isn't it, Jack, to have all of these new names on the grid, because we don't really know how they're going to race each other. We already know how the likes of a Joel Lask or a Nicky Taylor or a Carl Felvis will handle a certain situation, but now we're learning all of these new drivers' traits and who's going to send it, who's going to be a bit more circumspect, who's good at defending, who's good at overtaking, who is good at saving big slides. Well, not actually Thomas Potter in the end, because he ends up on the grass on the inside line. I think he got into the back of Josh Martin slightly. That is an awful shame, because they were so closely packed behind him that that's cost him about 5 places.
Yeah, well, hopefully, obviously, he'll be annoyed at that, but he'll have a big grin on his face when he actually looks back at some of the moves and looks back at the broadcast as well, because he has been tremendously exciting. Yes, okay, that was a pretty big mistake. Luckily, Josh Martin didn't come off any worse from it, because obviously otherwise there would have been penalties potentially to be looked at and everything. As Joe Smith looking, nibbling, not even quite actually having the space to crowbar a gap up the inside of Joel Lask there, and he's just about got away with it. What I love about Thomas Potter, though, Andy, is I'm not sure about you, but especially that fight with Nicky Taylor, it was like watching Nicky Taylor versus Nicky Taylor, but you know, Nicky Taylor from about 2 years ago when he started with us, when every move was on. He decided that if there's a space, okay, I'll fill it. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? And that's what I really enjoyed there. As you said, we didn't see anything big or anything bad come out of it, but it was a driver who was very keen to move forward and had no fear whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a very good point, actually. A really good point. That is exactly what that reminded me of, too. Or a Kyle Felvers. Kyle, of course, started racing with us when he wasn't much older than Thomas Potter is now. He's no longer the young kid of the grid, Kyle Felvers. I mean, he is compared to us, but he is no longer the youngest driver out there. 13 years old he was when he started. Practically a pensioner compared to Thomas Potter, who we are very, very happy to have on board. Sam Beerad, who's been good entertainment value tonight as well, hasn't he? It's been a very entertaining night in general, really. The Silverstone International Circuit bringing out the best in our mini drivers, and Joel Lask is hoping that it will bring a second place finish for him in this second race of the evening. He's still fending off Nathan Smith and actually has built a small cushion, but in mini racing terms, a pretty handy lead as they head down the Hanger Straight with 3.25 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think he'll be pretty happy with this one. As in the background there is that John Jones who's clinging on to a 5th place. It is only clinging on, isn't it, though, as they go down towards Stowe against Brad Smith, a driver that has actually wiggled his way up the order quite successfully, actually, after having not really been in the talking or in the picture much at all in race 1. Just seemed to have found his way in race 2, found his feet a little bit, able to move through, and is actually, if he does get that 5th position, not a bad end to the night for his championship.
No, not at all, and he's just managed to move ahead of John Jones into that 5th place. So yeah, Brad Smith, sorry, second in the championship, 2 second-place finishes a week ago, and not quite going to reach those highs here at Silverstone, but you know, it's not a bad points haul. He'll lose some ballast now for Castle Combe, and I think that is going to be more than enough to keep a bit of a smile anyway on his face. Oh, Joel Lask nearly had the smile wiped off his face there as Nathan Smith came charging in from behind, but stays where he is for the time being. Out onto the Hanger Straight we go, and Joel Lask in 2nd place. Now, hang on. Carl Felvers is showing as non-finished, and he's not on track. Has Carl Felvers disconnected from the race lead? I think, Jack, that this is now the battle for the race lead, and I think Nathan Smith knows it. He's up the inside line, and he sees a chance to steal a race win.
Yeah, Carl Felvers, he's actually just dropping down the order. He's in 18th place or something like that. It's Joel Lask right off the circuit. I don't know what's happened to them, but it's not a timing glitch, ladies and gentlemen. This is the battle for the race lead. There is Kyle Felvers. He's in the pits. I don't know whether he accidentally hit the wrong button, but we'll focus on this one for the next 90 seconds. Well, it looks like Nathan Smith, Joel Lask, and Tom Clubhouse. Church House even. I'm getting it all wrong as they go through Club. I'm sorry. It's a race lead.
What a battle. What a battle this is. 2 laps to go. 3 drivers under a handkerchief going through Abbey Corner, and Nathan Smith's got the lead back. There is Felvers back on the road in 19th place. What on earth is happening? I've no idea. I'm sure he'll jump on the YouTube chat later on to explain to us, but Carl Felvers is now going to score hardly any points from this second race of the night, and in fact Joel Lask in danger of suffering the same fate because he has contact from Tom Churchhouse. This could be exactly what Nathan Smith needs to grab what I believe would be his first victory with us here at the VRRC. If those two start scrapping behind, he might just be able to do this.
Yeah, Churchhouse with 45 seconds wants a higher podium position than the one he's currently operating in. Joel Lask going very defensive. Churchhouse is going to have to go around the long way around Stowe, locking up on the rear right. Nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong with the move, Andy. He's gone and done it.
Oh. Wow, what a brilliant bit of racecraft that was, and Tom Churchhouse through into 2nd place. Now, can Churchhouse get the victory? He will feel a little bit robbed, actually. Remember, he was on pole position for race 1, fastest in qualifying, had that little to-do with Carl Felvers on the opening lap, and then that really was his shot at a race win gone. But here he is with 1 lap to go. 3/4 of a second he's got to try and gain here on Nathan Smith. Of course, on that lap he was 4/10 slower, but that lap included that rather spectacular overtake against Joel Lask. He's already taken a couple of tenths out of him in the first corner alone. He's going to catch him, Jack, I think, but will he find a way through?
I'll tell you what, they're all going to catch Kyle Felvers, who seems to be just ahead of him on the track map. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure. Felvers was disappeared, then he's back, his connection's all over the place. Yeah. Anyway, we'll worry about him another time. Hopefully we'll have a chat to him potentially. He is right at the back of the field though, and I think he's just got into the pits as a DNF. So his connection is absolutely gone. Maybe that's the cause of the problem. Anyway, Churchhouse, half a second to Nathan Smith. Nathan Smith, who has fought so hard to be in the position he is in. He probably only thought that maybe a podium was on the cards, let alone a race win. It's going to be absolutely stunning. He's going to love it in the commentary box. I can't wait to have a chat with him as long as he doesn't chuck it off in the next 3 corners, Andy. This is going to be one that he'll remember for a while.
Oh, well, one will remember for a while. What a race this has been. Nathan Smith off the final corner. He is gonna do it. Out of club he goes. Nathan Smith, a winner at the VRRC from Tom Churchhouse in second and Joel Lask in third. I think Lask will still be happy with that, but my word, he could so easily have won that one, couldn't he? Then it is Brad Smith fourth. That was an under-the-radar fourth position for Brad Smith, but valuable championship points scored. John Jones in the top 5 ahead of Kenny Press, Nicky Taylor, Josh Martin, Andy Carroll and Lee Piercy. I'll tell you what, Jack, what you said earlier on is absolutely correct. You never, in a month of Sundays, would have predicted that top 10, would you, at the beginning of what was a frenetic 4th round of the championship. It looks as though Carl Felvis, unfortunately, has succumbed to some connection issues, and that is, unfortunately, the end of his... well, maybe not completely the end of his championship hopes, but it certainly is not going to help his championship standings. A 3rd non-score from the first 4 races of the season. But let that not detract from Nathan Smith, who put up a fighting drive regardless, and thoroughly deserves that race victory that he has just claimed. We will have all of the breakdown from our second race of the night, and there'll be plenty to unpack in our post-race interviews. They're coming up in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone. A spectacular, exciting, perplexing second race of the night here from Silverstone has just been completed, and we are joined by our 3, I would imagine, fairly worn out podium finishers after what was a ding-dong battle for the victory there over the final few minutes. It looked like being more of a fight for second place until connection issues befell our race leader, Carl Felvis, and it all meant that we got a new race winner here at the VRRC. But we're going to be speaking to him in a few minutes' time. We're going to start with our 3rd place finisher, though, and that was Joel Lask. Joel, congratulations, back on the podium again. A heavier car than you had a week ago. I'm sure that held you back a little bit tonight, but all in all, I think you've got to be pretty satisfied with the points scored.
I must admit, if someone had told me I was going to get 3rd place at the end of that one, I'd have bitten your hand off. The car's just been horrible to drive with all that ballast. I was hanging on for dear life from probably 10 minutes towards the end. Tyres are completely gone. So, yeah, that was definitely an interesting one, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, a slightly confusing finish to the race, obviously, but I guess you weren't really able to focus on what was going on with Kyle because you were embroiled in a fantastic scrap there. You and Nathan had a great battle all race long, and then that sort of allowed Tom to join in at the end there. A good, fun battle to watch. Were you enjoying being a part of it?
No, not really. Battle-wise, yeah. I mean, it was great. Fair play to Nathan. He definitely had more pace than me, and he was obviously sitting back and waiting to make his move, which he did do. So fair play to him. But yeah, the weight difference between both him and Tom was quite vast. So I was expecting it to happen. I was just waiting for it. And I thought, you know what, I might be able to hold him off. I might be able to white line it, but you know, the tyres are completely gone by the end, and I was understeering all over the place.
Unfortunately, I think tyre management is going to be something you really have to deal with next week as well at Castle Combe. A bit of a venture into the unknown, really. We've not raced at Castle Combe perhaps ever, or certainly not very, very often here at the VRRC. So plenty of practice laps for next week.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, my plan was I'd drop a load of weight on this one from coming so far back, but apparently that hasn't happened. So we have to go to Plan B here and change up the approach a little bit. But yeah, lots of practice laps to go in.
Well, you see, you will keep on finishing on the podium, Joel. That's the deal, unfortunately. But really solid night for you, and congratulations. Some more good points scored. We'll see you again next week.
Cheers, appreciate it.
So, Joel Lask gets the third place finish. It's a second place finish this time around, but a consistent night for Tom Churchhouse, who catches up now with Jack.
Yeah, Tom, I mean, pole position, second place, another podium as well in race one. I mean, my goodness, that was a good night. Or do you sort of feel like it could have been slightly better?
It probably could have been, but I'll take second and second, especially coming from the back as well. Just trying to keep it consistent. And you know what? I didn't lamp anyone this time, so it went quite well.
I like that attitude. Yeah, take the positive out of that one. You obviously came at a late surge right at the end there, didn't you? Did you see Nathan and Joel having a little bit of a battle and thought, I sniff a race victory here? Did you even know a race victory was on the cards? Because obviously there's the confusion about that as well.
It was them battling that let me catch up. Without that, I'm not sure if I would have, even with the pace difference. So, yeah, I didn't expect a podium, though, definitely not.
Right, it was very impressive indeed. Is this the sort of pace we can come to expect from you for the next couple of rounds then? Or have you got the time to practice it? Have you got the time to go on and make a real charge for the championship?
I'll definitely practice more as I'm getting used to the front wheel drive. But I look forward to a very, very heavy car next time round.
That is the disadvantage of obviously doing well. But 2 second place, a pole position, not a bad points all for you, Tom. Congratulations and well done on a very entertaining evening's racing.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, well done, Tom. Really solid night, and I think we're going to be talking about him a fair bit more through the next 6 weeks or so. Likewise, actually, the driver who came out on top in that race, Nathan Smith, who joins us now. Nathan, I was already saying during that race how impressed I'd been with how your night had gone, and well, it ended in perfect fashion with a race victory, and what a race to win as well. You really had to fight for that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm very, very tired. I don't know if I can call it a win just yet because I feel quite bad for Kyle, obviously with his connection issues. But to come across the line in first place was brilliant for me. It's first time I've done it with VRRC, so yeah, really, really pleased.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's sort of been on the cards, I guess, because you have been quick. You were quick last week at Donington. Obviously, even faster again here at Silverstone. Is this a car that you were, you were always confident that you'd be quick in, or is it just that you've been really putting the practice in? You really like the track. What is it? Do you think that's been the main reason that this has become a reality?
Well, to be honest with you, it's neither. I didn't even download the track to practice on until we were coming straight into the race this evening. So that I've just been flat out all week. And then this car, I've never driven it before. Donington was the first go, but I just seem to have gelled with it quite naturally. I don't know. It's good. I mean, in that race there, Joel is definitely the better driver, had more pace. Kyle obviously disappeared, but I could really see Joel fighting hard with his extra weight, and it's just a waiting game. And then I managed to just pick him off, and then I had to start sweating even more when Tom caught up. So yeah, it was just hard work. But no, it's brilliant race.
I'm beginning to wonder if anyone put any practice in before tonight. Everyone's been saying that that they left it all to the last minute, but either way, it worked out clearly for you, Nathan. On to Castle Combe now next week, and of course, having got that first victory, the pressure's sort of on now to get another one, isn't it? You don't want to be a one-hit wonder. I'm sure you've got the ability to win more races. Might this maybe convince you to run a few more practice laps before next week?
Definitely, yeah, and I do quite like Castle Combe as well. So I'm going to get as much practice in as I can, because if I finish tonight the way I did, then hopefully the next meeting could potentially bring another podium. That'd be nice.
Absolutely, and who knows, maybe more race wins on the horizon as well. Nathan, huge congratulations from us all. Always nice to see a new winner, and for someone to do it in such spectacular fashion is particularly exciting, and that was a win. I mean, I know it's unfortunate what happened to Kyle there, but a win is a win. These things happen, unfortunately, in sim racing, and you should absolutely be proud of what you've achieved. So congratulations, and we'll see you again next week.
Nice one, thank you. Bye bye.
Well, Well, I don't really know what to say after that, Jack. That was pretty crazy. What we ought to do, though, I think, is give the Felvers family something to smile about, because I really do feel for Kyle after that. I mean, that is the sim racing equivalent of a car's engine blowing on the final lap, isn't it? There's nothing he could do, completely out of his hands. He did nothing wrong whatsoever, and unfortunately robbed of a race victory, but will not go home prizeless tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Driver of the round. I mean, it's hard to look past him, isn't it, really? The point was made on the YouTube chat, and quite often there's a rally for Kyle to get the driver of the round on the YouTube chat. This time we're actually listening to them because they are right. And I think two P1s, sometimes when you have two race victories, they can be fairly dull, so we look past them. But actually, his performance in the second race was very, very impressive. His performance in the first race as well, obviously driving well with Nicky, was quite a mature response to, obviously they could have fought and they could have battled each other and lost a race to Tom Churchhouse. But then the second race, it was very exciting to watch him carve through those top five. I'm sure he did a brilliant job before we saw him. So yeah, fully deserved a driver of the round in my opinion.
Yeah, 100% agree. So congratulations, Carl. Sorry it's not a race win, but don't let your head drop too much, because that was a fabulous drive across the two races tonight. Right, I need to go and have a lie down. Before I do that, let's remind ourselves of what we'll be doing in a week's time. We'll be mini racing once more, and we will be racing at Castle Combe. Rich perhaps can tell us, have we had a championship race at Castle Combe before? Well, of course we did, back in the Civic Cup days, yes, but certainly not a circuit that we've ventured to all that often. But we're going to put that right next week with our third round of the Mini JCW Racing League, to give it its full title, where it won't be anything like that commentary team, I'm afraid, next week. But we will have, I believe, Jack and Richard on comms for that one. I have been Andy McEwen, though. Jack has been Jack Oliphant, and we have been very happy to join you to talk through all of the action tonight. We will all be back at some point in the future to do it all over again. Until then, though, thanks for watching, and it's good night from us.